I haven't been on there for a little while. So what I wanted to talk about today or tonight is about games console modifications. So basically, a few years back, and when I mean a few years back, I mean when it was about 97, 98. I had a few games consoles that I had. Like even in say the early 90s, I had like my very first games console was a Nintendo Game Boy, the old like fat one, like what I used to have years ago. And because I was really into gaming, but obviously I couldn't really afford much games in a way. I only had like Tetris, which was a pretty cool game back then, and Terminator. I think it was Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and obviously I think it was just before that or just slightly after. My dad got me a Sega Master System too, and that obviously had like Alex Kidd built in. And after that, I got myself a Sony PlayStation 1 a few years down the line. And my friend across the road, he had exactly the same. He basically had a PlayStation 1 as well. And what happened was is his father put soldered a mod chip in it, so obviously he could play backup games and get downloaded backup games or whatever. But obviously, like with me and my dad, we only had a very few selected games. Like even on the Sega, we had Alex Kidd was built in, obviously, and then we had Sonic One, Sonic Two, and my dad used to borrow games from the guys at his workplace. So obviously we had like say Psycho Fox was another cool game. Cloud Master was amazing. Like we used to really enjoy these sort of games. And the thing is, when it comes to it, like I wanted to talk about modifications that you can do. So obviously, like when I got myself my PlayStation, when I was say 11 years old, I was saying to my dad, I really want to get one of these like mod chips. And my dad obviously had all the tools because obviously he was an engineering technician and a tool maker. What happened was is that he wanted to tell me that yeah, you can do this if you want, and what I'm gonna do is like gonna show you the instructions that it comes with, and then talk you through it bit by bit, step by step. So I said, okay, fair enough. And being at the age of 11, I thought I was really interested in doing this, and it's such a young age. And I thought I'm just gonna give it a go. So I really wanted to try it. So my dad ordered it from the internet, and what happened was is when it turned up like a couple of weeks later, I was so excited, and I said, "Oh, Dad, I really want to do this." So he said, "All right, fair enough. So what you need to do is get the tools, take it apart, and then obviously we'll look through the instructions, and then I'll tell you what wires to solder on from the mod chip itself, and obviously like you put it into the actual like motherboard or the circuit board of the PlayStation." And after we done it, like my literally I was shaking so much, and I was thinking, I can't wait to try this. I put it all back together, tried it, like literally I put a disc in what my mate Jason had come up working straight away, and I thought, oh my god, this is so amazing, this is so cool. And then I was still in my learning processes. I was still like thinking, okay, right now that I've done this, how do I get games? Like, what do I do? So Jason said to me that what you need to do is obviously the games that you've got, you can make backups of them, like copies of them. So I said, okay, how? So he said to me, obviously, you get yourself a CD rewriter. So I thought, okay, fair enough. So I had a computer and I went out and I see one in Argos for I think it was like 20 or £30. I bought one of them and then got a load of blank discs. So what I done is I thought, I'm gonna try and get a few like games, copy the ones that I had, and obviously that way I'm gonna keep them in good condition. And the second that I wanted to copy them, they come out amazing. They come out really good. But with the games that I already had, I thought, right, so I've got exactly the same games now. So how do I get even more? So Jason said, look, I've got other games if you want. You can borrow them, copy them, and obviously, like, we've got other friends that we can borrow games from them and do the same. So I thought, okay. And another thing, right, is that Jason's mum, Linda, yeah, used to have a subscription or membership to a place called Blockbusters. Okay, now Blockbusters it don't exist in the UK here anymore. It doesn't. They shut them all down. But at the time, you could rent out. Yeah, and when I mean rent, I mean like literally borrow from the shop, and then obviously you pay. I think it was like say for 3 games, it was something like say £5 for a week or whatever. And then you give it back, and then you buy get another few games or whatever, and then give it back, and so on and so on. But what me and Jay used to do is that we used to select the 3 coolest games from PlayStation, and then like from the Blockbusters, take it back home, copy and burn them, and then put them back in the sleeves, like ready to take back even the next day, and say, oh, we didn't really enjoy these ones. Can we have another lot, another lot, another lot? And eventually, we built up such a cool library of games. But obviously, like that's one simple method that you can do. Like back in the day, they used to do a thing like, say, it was called a disc swap. Now it was involving like a little tiny spring. Okay, so literally it was all about getting like a boot disc. Okay, a boot disk is like a piece of software on a disk, and then what you do is you put the boot disk in the actual console itself, and then you use a little spring, okay, to basically like latch the mechanism of the disk tray shut. Once you've done that, you can like hot swap the disk to another disk or like a backup disk without doing a hardware mod, like a mod chip. So obviously, like as the times prevailed and whatever, the PlayStation 2 come out. Obviously, I had a PlayStation 2, and there was another thing that was pretty cool at the time. It had an expansion bay at the back. Now it was big enough for obviously an external hard drive, but hard drives over the years have come a long way. So basically, like they've got like SATA 2 hard drives, SATA 3 hard drives now, and they're getting faster and faster. So obviously, the PlayStation 2 games I had was amazing. They was pretty cool, and like I wanted some more. So I was thinking, how could I expand on this a bit more? So I was thinking, there's two different ways of doing this. Obviously, like you can put an external hard drive on it, or you can put an internal hard drive. So I put an internal hard drive, and then basically I soft modify, like it's what you call soft modding or soft modifying your console to obviously play backups, but that was downloaded on the hard drive. Okay, so what happened was is then I got myself a PS2, but also like got myself a Nintendo 64. I'd never really liked the controller on the Nintendo 64, to be honest, because like obviously like you got your little thumbstick in the middle, and then obviously you got your right hand to do the other part of the controller, but then you got buttons on the other part of it. So there was three different parts of this controller, and it was so big and bulky. Like nobody really enjoyed this. And then even from that, I got myself a cartridge that when you plug it in, you can put an SD card with all the backup ROMs on there that you download. Obviously, I'm not going to be telling you what sites you can get these ROMs or games from, because it would actually lead to my channel getting banned. So I've got to be very careful what I say. All right. So even from there, like it's the cartridge was called an EverDrive. So you can get them. They are quite expensive. Even if you had a Nintendo 64 these days, yeah, you can get them, and it's called an EverDrive. And then what you do is you put a little SD in your computer, you fill it up with all the ROMs, and once that's done, obviously you plug that into the console, and then bam, straight away it works, and you've got all the games that you want. One of my favourite all-time games on the Nintendo 64 though was GoldenEye 64. Absolutely amazing, but it used to really annoy me and my mate Delboy when like we used to play with Jason, and he used to pick like Odd Job, the smallest little character, and he used to run around the map on his knee as well. And oh my god, it was so annoying to try and shoot him because he used to duck in and out. And obviously like even from say the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 2, and then a long time down the line now, like a lot of years. I mean, I never really got games consoles as much. I started to get into building computers, and obviously programming and making my computer even faster, getting a better graphics card, like upgrading RAM, like processors, hard drives, everything. Like, and I've built a supercomputer, like a proper server machine with like tons of hard drives on it. Programmed that, got an amazing graphics card, downloaded loads and loads of games. Like literally, it was amazing. But then on I got myself a Nintendo Wii for very cheap, like literally like £20 off of a guy that I used to work with. And with the Nintendo Wii, the same thing. The games were so expensive at the time, so obviously I got myself. There was two different ways of doing it: a software mod, which was obviously the homebrew channel, and then going on and on and on and on, and then you can plug like an expansion hard drive in, and then put all the games on that. Or you can get yourself a mod chip. So with me, I always hit the mod chip section. It's just so much easier. You haven't got to mess about, but you have to burn the games on discs, and that means buying discs and buying cases. But I actually preferred that method at the time. Sometimes you do change your like preferences. I preferred to have like say the actual discs. So that's what I enjoyed anyway. So I literally got a whole mountain full of games, and I literally it was from the floor to the ceiling of games. Like, and I got myself a printer. I was printing out all the covers, downloading everything, and I thought it was wicked, actually really enjoyable and cool. And then obviously I got myself an Xbox 360, and then I've done like hardware mods on that as well. Got myself like a proper JTAG chip, put that in, and then doing exactly the same, downloading all the games as well. And then even from that, literally from the floor to the ceiling, I've got bookshelves of games as well, printing off all the covers, and it's my own little cool collection, right? So I thought I'll really enjoy that. That's cool. And all these games, like I said, they're so expensive, but it's cool to have your own little library, which you didn't even have to pay for in a way. Yeah, you might have to buy the discs, you might have to buy the cases, but they're all so cheap compared to what the games are, right? So obviously, like just covering a few different consoles, I've had tons of consoles over the years. Like even the Nokia N-Gage phone, literally, like that was a cool little console. But the only trouble is you have to keep constantly taking the battery out to put another like game in, and then putting the battery in, resetting the clock every time. oh, it was so annoying and jarring, but it was worth it in a way to play like Sonic or The Sims or whatever you had at the time. And then obviously, like now, I've got my son who's come along now, right? I've got my son a little Nintendo Switch that has been proper soft modified. So what I can do is obviously I can get games for him, and I've got an SD card now, right? That's completely full of games. I've got another SD card that's completely full of games, and another SD card that's full of like PlayStation One and Nintendo 64 and all the Sega Master System. Like every single game is on that. So he's got two 512 gigabyte cards and obviously a one 128 gigabyte card. They're all full of games, and to get them off the store is wicked. Like literally, I think personally that the Nintendo Switch is one of the most underrated games consoles I've seen in a long time because the graphics are superb. And what I like about it is it's a handheld gaming device, but also you can put in a docking station. And what I mean by a dock is like a little tiny square plastic thing that you hook up to your TV. You can hook it up to a projector, a massive TV, hook it up. But the second that you put that in there, it comes up like full screen. And I thought, oh, do you know what? This is actually really cool. So yeah, I'm really enjoying like something like that, to be honest. So like it's amazing. Kieran loves it as well. So literally, I've got him all the Mario games, like Mario Kart, the latest games that you can think of. We got them, and some of the games are like £70 each. We've got literally over 150 games already, and it hasn't really cost us much at all. So literally, when it comes to say like doing a modification, hardware or say software modification, I think personally it's up to preference. It's up to you. A lot of people don't believe in it. They believe that, oh yeah, I want a physical copy of like this game, and obviously I like to collect my little things. And whatever. Do you know what? Yeah, if that's what your preference is and you like that, then go for it. I'm not going to knock you. But to be fair, I grew up in a house, obviously over the years, where me and my dad didn't really have a lot of money at the time, and the few little things that I had like honestly in the years like over the 90s and like the 80s even, and like even in the early 2000s, my like say collection was very small and limited. So even when I had my first computer that I built and I souped up and I was programming it, and then I was explaining to my dad, look, like there's like basically all these different emulators. And my dad said, what's an emulator? So I said, it's like having a games console but on your PC, so you can get as many games as you want. And when he said to me, all right, David, like get Psycho Fox or say get Sonic, and then like get all these like Cloud Master, I thought, okay, I've got them all, Alex the Kid the lot. And when I put like an Xbox like 360 controller into the PC and wired it up, like assigned all the buttons to exactly what it was back in the day, and sometimes I even had the pad upstairs and I'd bring the pad down and make sure it was the right button with the right, say, assignment. When I plugged it in and I put it on, they even had save states. So even if you're on like level 5 and like you can press file save, and then it saves it in that say level 5, because obviously with the old school games consoles, the second that you turn it off, you lose exactly where you was. It's not like, oh, when you turn it back on, it goes from exactly where you started. No. So my dad was extremely happy that obviously you had save states, and then you can just obviously carry on from like level 5, level 6, whatever. And when he see it on the big screen, my dad was blown away. He said, this is amazing, like he can't believe it. And it all played exactly flawlessly, in fact better than what the console did years ago. So yeah, just to see like dad's face like light up and was really happy to be able to play games with me like he did back in the day, that was amazing. And we was able to obviously get loads of other games that we never really had the chance, or what we couldn't really afford. So when you think about it, I only do things because obviously like the budget, and obviously like I believe in say buying the physical device or the console itself, and obviously like trying out these things. And if I try them out and I really enjoy them, obviously like it's definitely a winner. I'm gonna keep it. So I don't believe in, yeah, I'm gonna be say paying this company like so much thousands of pounds to do something. No, I can't really afford that, to be honest. So as long as we can still get enjoyment out of it, because all the other rich people are able to play that same thing, why can't I? And why can't my son? And why can't my wife and my kids and whatever? No. So this is one of the reasons why I've always wanted to do it. So even when I had my PlayStation 1 and I had a very small collection, I couldn't really afford the games because I didn't have a job at the time. So I was still at secondary school. I was working, but obviously even the games back then were like £40 for a PlayStation 1 game, £50, £60. So I couldn't really afford them. So I used to borrow the games from the richer kids at school, say to them, "Oh, I'm just going to borrow it for a couple of days." Literally the next morning, I'll come in and say, "Here's your game back." And when they said, "What, you completed it, or you?" No, 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 I just played it, and like, I didn't really enjoy it. What other games have you got? They used to give me the other games. They used to do the same thing. Go to like say like a Costco shop, and then like buy loads of blank CDs, burn them all off, buy the cases, burn off, print off the covers at school, yeah, and then take them home. Yeah, put them all in my little library, and then when I got home, I thought I've got all these cool games to play. The one annoying thing as well with the PlayStation One and PlayStation Two is the memory cards. I think they had little blocks, if I can remember. Like literally, they had like 9 blocks. And when the PlayStation 2 one come out, it had like say 18 blocks roughly of memory, so you could only play 18 games and save 18 games. The second that you wanted to play another one, no. That's why people was buying tons and tons and tons of memory cards, and they had to write exactly what was on it. I remember it. And like another thing that I really enjoyed as well, which was a sort of like cool thing back then, is even in the PlayStation 1 they had a little expansion slot in the back, and you could plug like a cheat load Explorer in there, and it was so cool. I remember playing like say Tomb Raider 1, and then you could do like say cheats on it, whereas you could be playing with upside down Lara, and then you could be running around and whatever. Like literally, she was completely upside down, and like if she was jumping, it was all kind of nuts. It was so cool. But yeah, this is just a really, really quick video on obviously like the things that I've done over the years. And obviously, if you're interested in doing anything like that, put a comment down below and obviously like what you have. Like, and obviously, if you really wanted to go a bit deeper into it, I'll be able to explain like the different possibilities or the ways that you can do that. And obviously, to save yourself a little bit of money as well, because these things, to be honest, these days are still very, very expensive. And I've got tons of consoles at home, and I've got a nice little collection of games and whatever. But to be honest, like say 85% of all my stuff is basically backups, and they play exactly the same as what an original will play. But I still really enjoy playing all the games, and I still am like in the next like say like years to come or whatever. I'm still going to enjoy. I've always enjoyed playing games like Mario and Sonic and like Street Fighter and all the old school cool ones like Tekken and whatever. But to be honest, like now that I've got myself a son, like little baby and everything, he's going to be 1 next month. Yeah, on the 5th of October he's going to be 1. So we've got everything for him, and that little Nintendo Switch is one of his like birthday presents, many birthday presents. Another thing he's got is an Amazon Fire tablet. He's got the latest Fire tablet as well with like all the programs that I've managed to get. So that's another thing. Even if you wanted like TV series or films or whatever, I don't have to get like pay for anything for him, because everything is like I know my knowledge of how to get this stuff for free. It doesn't cost me anything at all. So he's into Mr. Tumble, he's into Paw Patrol, he's into like say all the like Nickelodeon stuff. But at the same time, I want him to be learning educational stuff, because it's very important. Yeah, he can mess about with a few toys and games and whatever, but as long as he's learning something, that's the main thing. All right. So yeah, if you do have kids and you want to be like giving them like some sort of educational stuff, that's flawless. That's what you need to be doing. With Kieran, I'll read to him every single day. You need to read to your kids. Make sure that you do that. And obviously, like even when they're in the bath, read to them. Even if like you're changing them, read to them. Speak to them all day long. Speak to them all night long. Do as much as you can to please them and keep them happy. And that's it. They'll be a godsend at the end of the day. So yeah, that like I said, that's just a little video that obviously like what you can do with your games consoles and like other things. So just give me a shout. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure that you share, subscribe, do all the lot. Okay, to obviously like keep the channel going. Like I said, it's been amazing chatting to everybody as it always is, and I want everybody to have an amazing night or day wherever you are across the world. All right, take care and peace out.